Greetings, dear viewers. You are on the Cross Moto channel. Harley-Davidson motorcycles are probably known to everyone, and Harleys have certain distinctive features, such as the V-twin engine, which has been installed on the vast majority of the American company's motorcycle models throughout its history. In this episode, I will tell you about the Harley-Davidson XA, a military motorcycle model whose engine was copied from BMW. Enjoy watching. Let's go back to the time of World War II. In 1941, two companies, Harley-Davidson and Indian, were supplying motorcycles to the United States Army. The first model was the WLA with a 750cc V-twin, while the second was the 340B, a military chief model with a 1,200cc V-twin. Notice that both of these motorcycles have chain drive to the rear wheel, and overall, the chain usually does its job well. However, for some theaters of war, particularly in North Africa, the Americans needed a completely different motorcycle. High-ranking officers of the United States Armed Forces were definitely aware of the successful use of heavy motorcycles by the Germans during combat operations, as well as the features of their design. In 1941, Harley-Davidson, Davidson, and Indian were assigned to develop this motorcycle. The requirements included a drive shaft, more efficient engine cooling than the company's existing V-twins, and a high ground clearance. The result of this work for Indian was the Model 841, in which a V-engine with a 90-degree cylinder angle was mounted in the frame along the axis of the motorcycle. But Harley-Davidson design engineer John Novak was interested in BMW's reliable, proven motorcycle designs. At World War II's start, BMW supplied the Wehrmacht with the proven heavy R-71 motorcycle, both on the rough terrain of the Eastern Front and in the African desert. Under extremely tight development deadlines, John Novak decided to copy BMW's proven and reliable power unit, transmission, and shaft drive to the rear wheel. Several R-71s arrived at the factory. Harley-Davidson engineers quickly converted metric measurements to inches and started building the project in metal. The Soviet M72 heavy motorcycle was copied from the BMW R71 and later became the basis for Ural and Dnieper bikes. In 1942, the motorcycle was ready. In many ways, this machine was different from the company's typical products. The engine was a four-stroke opposed, two-cylinder side valve engine with a displacement of 740cc. The piston dimensions were square, meaning the cylinder diameter was equal to the piston stroke, both measuring 77.8 millimeters. The engine generated up to 23 horsepower. For the first time on Harley-Davidson motorcycles, a 4-speed gearbox was used, and also for the first and last time, a drive shaft to the rear wheel. The XA's top speed was 105 km per hour. As for the chassis, it was a classic Harley design, slightly adjusted and modified for the new engine. Initially, the XA was equipped with a Springer fork, but in 1943, for the first time in the company's history, a telescopic front fork was used. The fuel tank was divided into two equal sections, together holding 15.4 liters of fuel. The motorcycle's handling changed greatly from its predecessors. The clutch lever was installed on the right hand. On the WLA, the clutch was foot-operated. Instead of a hand shifter, a foot lever was used, as implemented on BMW motorcycles. And the throttle was moved to the left hand to allow the rider to shoot without slowing down. Those who rode it spoke highly of it. Good handling due to the low center of gravity. Under the contract with the United States Army, the delivery of the first trial batch of equipment was planned in the amount of 1,000 units. The 841st Indian faced a similar policy too. The military was supposed to test both motorcycles and, based on their operational experience, choose the model that suited them best. By the first half of 1943, the first batch, numbering 1,000 units, had been built. Different sources indicate slightly different numbers, from 1,020 to 1,023 units. During the test, the motorcycle performed excellently. The drive shaft worked perfectly in harsh conditions, and the engine had much better cooling efficiency than the Harley-Davidson WLA model. Even specific figures have been preserved. For example, the XA engine's oil temperature was 38 degrees Celsius, lower than the Harley's under similar loads. However, despite the fact that the motorcycle turned out excellent, its production never went beyond a batch of 1,000 units. The same fate befell the Indian 841 motorcycle. One of the reasons was the fact that the African campaign was coming to an end. It ended on May 13, 1943, and not a single XA managed to get there in time. But the main reason was the superiority of the light army off-road vehicle Willys over motorcycles. The Willys could carry more soldiers and supplies and could tow light artillery. At the same time, it was not inferior to motorcycles in either speed or off-road capability. It was better in every way. Additionally, training new recruits to drive a car proved easier than teaching them the complexities of motorcycle handling. Producing 600,000 of these small cars shows their popularity and effectiveness. Ultimately, the military bought thousands more WLA motorcycles from Harley-Davidson. The WWII motorcycles were cheaper and more familiar to operate. Harley-Davidson proposed several projects for the promising XA engine. The first was to install it in a lightweight 450-kg mini Jeep called the Peep. The engine was also used as a power unit in Army generators. And the last project was a tricycle version, the CRVK Model K with a flat twin engine, which they planned to put into production in '46. However, none of these projects were successful. The Harley-Davidson company once again focused on V-twins, and since '43 never returned to flat twins or shaft drives. The existing XA models were sold off as military surplus to civilians. As of 2018, about 60 fully operational ones remained worldwide. Harley-Davidson XA and a few more incomplete and non-working units. That's the story of the Harley-Davidson XA Army motorcycle model. That brings my story to an end. As always, this was Cross Moto Channel with you. Thank you so much for your attention and for your activity on the channel. Special thanks to everyone who supports my work. Support me by donating using the pinned details. See you next time.